I'd like to start off today's video with a shout out to Dmajini. Dmajini has been a supporter of the Fandom Menace, one of the first voices speaking out for us against the abuse, the use of entertainments, of escapism to espouse socio-political propaganda, to push aside traditional fans, to push us out as the campaign led by Kathleen Kennedy wanting to get rid of 50-something-year-old fans to bring in a new audience, Raylos and weirdos. Dmajini has been one of our voices for a very long time. He's only at 854 subs. This is a guy that started out in the Fandom Menace the same time as all those first wave channels, so I'd like to give a special shout out to him and ask any person out there who is not subbed to Dmajini to check out his videos. And if you enjoy them, subscribe. And if you even do not wish to subscribe and don't enjoy Dmajini's content, there may be people out there who do. So please retweet, share this link, support one of the founders of the Fandom Menace, in my opinion, our good brother Dmajini. Thank you very much. So I woke up this morning to an interesting thread on Twitter, and I wanted to go over it a little bit. It started out in one direction and ended up in another, as some Twitter threads do. This initially started by Twitter account Hoopla, Disney Ruined Star Wars. Let's take a listen and see what he has to say.
Hey there, my name is Gabe. I've spoken to Ms. Mecca before, but just wondering if anyone in the fandom who is LGBT would mind me using their picture in a thumbnail, because Giovanna Mullen, who is a lesbian, was being told by a bunch of people that the Fandom Menace is homophobic. Now, I personally don't see it, and that's why I made an entire video off of this premise. And I was wondering if I could use some LGBT people's either icons or their YouTube channels. I'll link their channels below if you want me to. Perfectly fine with me. But was just wondering if I could use your picture or your icon or whatever to prove a point in my thumbnail. And it would just be for a thumbnail. That's it. And I would appreciate it. I would again link your channel down below and give you guys credit, because that's what I do. So please let me know if Miss Mecca or Mary or Jesse Milestone, if they don't care, then that's awesome. And anyone else in the fandom who happens to be LGBT, please let me know. Thank you. God bless.
Poor Jesse Milestone. It's because of the haircut, girl. Everybody thinks you're gay. Jesse Milestone is not gay, but I'm very sure that she supports LGBT. As you can see, Hoopla tagged many different people in this. Mecca Random, Mary Mayhem, Giovanna Mullen, Kiri Morning, all these, wonderful people that I call friends. This is where the thread started. Now, and as far as Hoopla's message, one of the many reasons why the Fandom Menace exists, aside from the right to have an opinion, is a pushback to a toxicity that exists in what we call SJW culture, social justice warrior culture, which is pointing the finger at someone who has a difference of opinion and ostracizing them, getting rid of them, shaming them, employing cancel culture upon them. But SJW culture kind of reaches back even before the term of SJW. There are people, due to their cultural upbringing, their religious beliefs, or their personal beliefs, that do not do not support the lifestyle of homosexuals. That does not make someone a phobe. That does not mean a person has an irrational fear of gay people. It just means you disagree. And I think a lot of common sense gay people understand that. I have had plenty of gay friends in my life, many family members who are gay, my mother's, my sister. These people consider them, well, my mother's consider themselves Christians, and they consider themselves conservative, and they are Trump supporters, for instance. They're conservative. And I don't think they really point the finger at anyone and call them a phobe. because they don't agree with their lifestyle. Now, when it comes to someone trying to stop your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as an American, I consider that an affront. But one of the things that SJWs do is they point the finger at people that they don't like, who think outside of their bubble, outside of their groupthink. They call them, phobes and ists, and some of the most terrible things. And cancel culture is something that we should all stand up against. Now, the idea of what Hoopla is saying, I look at this man. I don't know how old he is, but he seems like he's younger. Giovanna Mullen, Fandom Menace. The Fandom Menace roaster, hail Giovanna. She recently came out of the closet as a lesbian, and good for her. Proud of her. That's a hard thing for some people to do, depending on the region or the culture, or the customs that you have in your community. So, I mean, hail to that. It really, it makes no difference to me whether she's straight, gay, or whatever. Hail to her. And I think that it's important that those of us who are older, those of us who are maybe Gen X, or even older than that, or early millennials, we need to stand together with our friends in the Fandom Menace who come from different persuasions and really defy the narrative that the access media, shills, and SJWs try to place on us, that we're all alt-right, Trump-supporting conservative-ists and phobes, and which is demeaning to those people out there who are Trump supporters that are not ists or phobes, or Christians or conservatives that are not ists or phobes. They just have a different way of seeing things. The Fandom Menace stands for the right to have an opinion, the right for you to be who you are without assault or shame, coercion, cancel culture. You absolutely have the right to debate, and we could debate all day long, if anybody wanted to, about the intricacies of the impact on culture that gay culture has, or a certain religious culture has, or an ideology has. We could do that all day long, and we should have those talks with one another, because discussion leads to enlightenment. And even if you don't find agreements at the end of a debate or a discussion, you can at least appreciate and understand the perspective of that other person. So, hail to Hoopla. This is where it first started. Had a lot of people comment on it. The Senate, for instance, it kind of where this all started for me when I first started this thread. The Senate is not Fandom Menace, but I'll tell you what, a Fandom Menace chat that has someone like the Senate in it feels so much more like you're in a real Fandom Menace chat. There are people that support the idea, the principles of the Fandom Menace, that don't carry the hashtag. And you don't need to carry a hashtag to be involved. That is absolutely, for anyone to say that you need to carry the hashtag to be involved in any Fandom Menace conversation, is a person that does not understand really what the Fandom Menace is. As a man who has written volumes and is writing volumes, attempting to translate what the Fandom Menace is and present it to general audiences, it was very difficult for me to condense what we were about. And looking through all the videos and all the perspectives and all the channels and all of the voices out there on, in the chats and on Twitter and on Facebook, when it came down to the essence of what the Fandom Menace is, I believe, as I wrote it, that the principle of the Fandom Menace is the right to have your opinion without worrying about cancel culture, without worrying about being called an ist or a phobe, without being labeled, harassed, having hate campaigns sent at you. The right to have an opinion. It's very important. It's very important for all of us to have that right without worrying about cancel culture. And that is the pushback. We are the pushback to that form of toxicity that people in the access, mainstream, and shill media have been pushing on us, and the repurposers of franchises that we have loved, and in some cases for generations, that are now using them as a platform to push their ideology and push out older fans who don't think the same way. People like the Senate, very important to have in a chat. Very important to have around. This is a good dude. This is a dude that supports what we're about, but doesn't carry the hashtag. And he has every right to his opinion and perspective. Entertainment Hacker is a friend of mine. I've watched Entertainment Hacker on and off forever. We've spoken once or twice on social medias, but I in no way think that EH is a bad person. But this really started with something that I disagree with. It was pointed out to me by my friend Lethal Lightning. So let's go through this. Entertainment Hacker starts by responding to the Senate and says, if you support, you are in it. There is no tangible fandom menace. It's a mindset. And if you support it, you have that mindset, therefore are it. There's no sign up, no members card. Disliking and being against woke, SJW, Disney, Star Wars makes you Fandom Menace. If you start to like that stuff, you're out. So I want to break this down just a little bit. I'm not going to go through this entire thread, but I want to break down just this first tweet, really. If you support it, you are it. That is not the truth. I don't think that's really the truth for anything. I support gay rights. I am not gay. All right. Nothing wrong with gay people. You want to be gay, be gay. If you like, if you like dongs, you're a dude, more power to you. I don't like dongs. I can support gay rights and not be gay. There is no tangible fandom menace. And I think he's right about that. There really isn't a tangible fandom menace. It's a hashtag. It's a collection of individual voices, a confederation of independents who come together to express their displeasure at the misuse of entertainment franchises as propaganda. It's a mindset. You're right. And the Entertainment Hacker is exactly right. It is a mindset. Where we diverge is here. And if you support it and you have that mindset, therefore you are it. That is not true. I don't believe that that's true. Now, mind you, my perspective could be different than someone else in the Fandom Menace, and that's the beauty of the Fandom Menace. You're allowed to have your opinion, and you're allowed to disagree with me, and we can talk about it on social media anytime. But from my perspective, as the Fandom Menace historian, as a person who has spent several hours, many days, months even, looking over various people who carry the hashtag, how they represent themselves, how they think, I would have to say that that is not correct. There are a lot of people that orbit the Fandom Menace that do not carry the hashtag, that think the same way we do. That freedom of expression is very important. That does not make them Fandom Menace. What makes you Fandom Menace is if you carry the hashtag, if you decide, if you take that upon yourself. And I don't care if you do or don't. I don't just care if you're a good person. And I think that's pretty much the general consensus of everyone in the Fandom Menace. Can you have a conversation without degrading someone? Can you have a debate holding up your ideals, presenting facts, or presenting feelings that are supported by events and facts? There's no sign up, no members card. That is absolutely the truth. There is no sign up or members card. You just decide that you want to carry this hashtag and that you support the idea that everyone has the right to have an opinion on entertainments and basically everything. Freedom of speech. Disliking or being against woke SJW Disney Star Wars makes you Fandom Menace. No, it does not make you Fandom Menace. There are plenty of other channels, plenty of people on social media that have spoken out against woke SJW Disney Star Wars that don't carry the hashtag. And one of the things that I write in the book is that the Fandom Menace represents the mainstream. And what I mean by that is that we are against cancel culture. We are against shaming someone for their opinion. And that's pretty much, I would think, mainstream thought. That's, to my mind, what I believe is mainstream thought. Remember, SJWs point the finger at people and call them exactly what they are. All right. If you see anybody on YouTube, I'm looking at that one channel, that one grifting channel, that points the finger at other people and says, you're this or you're that, that's an SJW. That's SJW culture. It's appropriating something that belongs to someone else, whether you call it a parody or not, pointing the finger at others and saying you're an SJW or whatever variation thereof, and then going about shaming people for their opinion. You're a fucking SJW. If you dislike woke Disney Star Wars, dislike SJWs, you could be any myriad of things, and you don't need to carry the hashtag. If you start to like that stuff, you're out. That I am 100% against that quote. I have met plenty of people in the Fandom Menace. I have met people that like The Last Jedi, people that like different shows or different movies from Disney Star Wars. I myself like Rogue One. Hell, I even like Solo, and that's not a popular opinion to have. I also enjoyed The Mandalorian. I like the Clone Wars. I liked Rebels to a point. I like Rebels. There are things Disney Lucasfilm has done, even though I am not the target audience for Kathleen Kennedy and her ideology. There are things that maybe have slipped through her fingers that have been created, without the intention of being good, that have ended up being good or decent enough. Like for instance, Solo. I don't overall like Solo, but I think it's got some decent scenes in it. And for as much as I disagree with Donald Glover, I liked his portrayal of Lando. Does that mean that I'm not Fandom Menace? Is your Fandom Menace historian not Fandom Menace because I enjoyed Rogue One, because I enjoyed aspects of Solo, because I enjoyed The Force Awakens before it was retroactively made bad by TLJ? That's up to you. That's your opinion. You can decide that. You have just as Entertainment Hacker has the right to have this opinion. He has that right to have this opinion. And I am disagreeing with this opinion. You have the right to like whatever you like. I'll debate you. It may even get heated. And who in any of our fandoms wouldn't enjoy getting back to having conversations like, is Kirk or Picard a better captain? Is Luke better than Leia? Like, who wouldn't like to get back to those kinds of conversations? What was the fastest ship? What's the best Star Wars movie? These are the conversations fandoms used to have, geek culture used to have, when we were the outcasts of society, before the mainstream appropriated us and then kicked us out again. Brought to my attention by Lethal Lightning, good friend of mine. Please check out Lethal. He's part of the Geeks and Gamers crew. Does a lot of live streams. He recently had a tough tussle with Naughty Dog, and so did a lot of other YouTubers. Are still having a problem with the abuse of the copyright system with Naughty Dog. But check out Lethal Lightning. He's man. He's one of the best YouTubers out there, in my opinion, criminally undersubbed. And he replies, absolutely not correct. Shadow Man says, can you clarify? My understanding is that if you support TFM and declare yourself a part of it, then you are. I consider myself TFM, and I have had the hashtag in my bio. I support TFM channels and viewership, and many financially. Do you not consider someone like me Fandom Menace? And pretty much that's exactly, I think, the feeling of most people, I think, in the Fandom Menace or that support the Fandom Menace. Shadow Man absolutely is Fandom Menace. Shadow Man could like Disney Star Wars and be Fandom Menace. There's no problem with that. Lethal Lightning continues. I consider myself not Fandom Menace. And for Entertainment Hacker to say anyone in Fandom Menace can't like any of Disney Star Wars is just stupid. Entertainment Hacker goes on, Star Wars is a bad example. The woke SJW Star Wars, too much focus on Star Wars. It wasn't my main point. And throughout this conversation, I do believe that Entertainment Hacker maybe didn't convey himself, didn't word himself in the best way that he could. I mean, there are limited characters on Twitter to work with in a single tweet. But this is a good debate to have inside the Fandom Menace, this conversation, which is why I'm bringing it up. And Lethal Lightning is probably the most non-Fandom Menace person that I've ever met. Zevius, who's also a great person to follow on Twitter, he says, I flat out loved Mandalorian despite going in skeptical as F. Easy 810. What does that make me then? Lethal Lightning says, according to Entertainment Hacker, I guess you can't be Fandom Menace and must be an SJW. Now, when debating with the great Lethal Lightning, you have to be specific because Lethal will take you at your written word. And Lethal's a great debater. He's also a very passionate fan, and he's also passionate about how he feels. He's probably one of the most honest people about his feelings. I remember seeing a tweet from Lethal not too long ago, or a comment or such, asking himself if he really was a Star Wars fan at this point because of all the disappointment in Disney Lucasfilm and having to talk about this for so many years, which would be a shame because Lethal Lightning is probably someone that you would want in your fandom, someone who advocates for good quality product, someone who will talk about a good product. He's also a supporter of the expanded universe for those of you EU enthusiasts out there. Shadowman says, I think you may have understood him. EH is good people, which I agree. But I was not part of your exchange, so let me butt out. This poor guy. I'd like to move on to the Rebellion, who's also a wonderful person, Brian Rebellion, to follow on Twitter. Good people. There is no gatekeeper of the Fandom Menace. Hail, brother. Hail, brother. You either identify as a member or you don't. It is an idea, but it's an idea that has to be subscribed to. Just because you agree with a lot of what the Fandom Menace says doesn't automatically make you the Fandom Menace. That's asinine. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is your choice. It is your choice, viewer, whether or not you want to carry the hashtag. That's just that's the simple end all be all of it. Some people don't. Some people agree with like 60, 65, maybe even 50 or 40% of what some Fandom Menace channels say or people. And continue to listen because they enjoy debate or a different point of view, or they may, like I said, only agree with so much of what these different channels, their positions are. He still needs to tell us his definition of Fandom Menace. And what I'm saying is what it was. Maybe it changed in Solo Boycott somewhat. It was just a way of thinking. Lethal Lightning replied, well, after our conversation, I think this covered. Uh, your take was terrible, but it seems you have realized that. Lethal Lightning does not hold back. All right? Long Dong, Lethal Lightning, my big dick brother from down under, does not hold back. Entertainment Hacker replies, Make take wasn't on Star Wars. My take wasn't on Star Wars. Typos happen. Twitter needs an edit button. It was on the woke SJW Entertainment. I made a bad example in the mix. People focused on it and ignored the rest. No, Hacker, absolutely not, brother. I completely, as you saw earlier, I took in everything that you said. I agree with some of it. I disagree with some of it, and I wholeheartedly disagree with the end of it. Lethal Lightning brings up screenshots of what he had said. Entertainment Hacker replies to Rebellion, there is no gatekeeper of the Fandom Menace. You either identify as a member or you don't. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. But it's an idea that has to be subscribed to. Right. By agreeing with Fandom Menace ideas, you subscribe, but there is nothing tangible about it. A list is tangible. And that's where that's where I kind of disagree more. And the Rebellion says, I can watch a YouTuber and agree with what they are saying, but still not subscribe to them. Now, my response to this was agreed to the Rebellion. I've watched Second Street Marvel videos. Hail Trinity, hail Second Street Marvel. That does not mean I support the Grey Order. I can value the opinions or perspectives that he has. I respect them without the need to agree on some things. Trin is an intellectual, and he's real about his views. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I watch Second Street Marvel, even though there have been plenty of things he said that I do not agree with, is that Second Street conveys his ideas very well. He is not a stupid man. He's well spoken, and he's very passionate about the things that he likes. He's also very informative. I enjoy his content. He's been kind of on that line, anti-Fandom Menace, but not. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure where Second Street falls, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to carry the hashtag. He doesn't need to be for it, be against it. It doesn't matter. I look at his videos because I'm entertained by him, because he is well spoken, because he presents decent arguments sometimes, and he's real as shit, to be honest with you. But I don't need to subscribe to his ideology or his belief system or his outlook in order to understand what he's saying, to enjoy what he does, or to get enjoyment from his entertainment. Another reply that I left was you are TFM if you choose to carry the hashtag. SJW culture does not allow for the right to have an opinion other than theirs. TFM is, if anything, fighting for the right to have an opinion, even a bad one. You can like Disney Star Wars, BBC Doctor Who, or CBS Trek and still be Fandom Menace. Matter of fact, some of the best times that I've ever had has been going to another channel outside or on the periphery of the Fandom Menace and speaking with people who are not Fandom Menace who want to debate solely about the creative decisions or talk about the creativity or what they liked or didn't like about Star Trek, about CBS All Access Star Trek. I've had some of the best conversations with people who probably don't carry the hashtag from the way that they were speaking, but have a love for Star Trek and can get some kind of enjoyment from CBS All Access Trek. Those are the conversations that I would love to be able to have on the regular, that fandoms used to have before the dark times, before far left ideologues got control of these franchises. Another great quote from Zevisis. I'm probably butchering that, brother. I'm sorry. Please give him a follow on Twitter. Damn, that's the point. TFM doesn't mean you have to hate the same stuff your friends hate. Fandom itself is about having fun arguing about stuff. There is no right or wrong. Obviously, Ryan Kindle is wrong for disliking Baby Yoda, and I'll go to the mat on that every time. hail, hail RK Outpost. Um, yeah, and that's exactly it. I would love to get back to a time when we just argued about good decisions and bad decisions, about things that exist within the art itself. I can commiserate to an extent with people who want to just have that debate, and I have no problem having just that debate. But in my opinion, and the way that I've said it in the past, when you are only looking at the symptoms of an illness and not treating the illness, then you're putting a band-aid on a broken bone. We could talk all day long about the creative decisions. I have no problem doing that. I enjoy doing that. But to leave out the fact that these entertainment properties are being controlled by ideologues who are pushing their agenda, have stated openly. We have quotes from their own mouths, saying that they're pushing agenda. So, that is, as far as my interaction with the Fandom Menace, that is one of the things that I'm fighting. I'm fighting the disease. We could talk about the symptoms of that disease all day long, and we could even encapsulate just the symptoms of the disease in a conversation. But at the end of the day, if you don't treat the illness, if you don't treat that disease, then really, what are you doing other than putting a band-aid on a broken bone? Toward the end of the thread, it was a very big conversation, a very good conversation, the type of conversation where no one has to degrade one another in order to get their point across. Although debates can be heated, but these are the types of conversations that I like to see within the Fandom Menace, with the different communities in general. Expressing yourself, if you're passionate about something, and getting feedback and not having to defame anyone for it. So, Entertainment Hacker, toward the end of this, says, I was never talking about you, Lethal. I meant anyone. I can't recall directly saying you were personally. You took my definition and used yourself as an example. I didn't weigh in on your personal case, though. Lethal Lightning replies, right here, saying if you support or have the same mindset, I am telling you that this is absolutely not true. A lot of us have the same values and mindset, but we are most certainly not Fandom Menace. And he shows an example again of Entertainment Hacker's tweet. Entertainment Hacker replies, okay, what does it actually mean to be Fandom Menace to you, Lethal? You need to define it. We're going in circles if your words, in your words, not clips of mine. To which Lethal responds, Fandom Menace to me? I am not Fandom Menace. Your description of Fandom Menace includes people like me in it when we are not Fandom Menace. It's that simple. And that is very true. Entertainment Hacker's statement was, there is no sign up, no members card. Disliking or being against woke SJW Disney Star Wars makes you Fandom Menace. And so he did, Entertainment Hacker, you did at that point say that anybody who is against that is Fandom Menace. And Lethal will not be labeled. That is something that we all really believe in. That's one of the core tenets, that principles of the Fandom Menace, as I see it. We're not going to be labeled by someone else as something, um, because no, it's the same argument as people who are in the LGBT community or use the LGBT community as a shield to espouse their false virtue, calling someone whose religion, culture, or belief does not validate homosexual lifestyles as having a phobia, an irrational fear. It does not mean that. I guarantee you, anyone listening to this, that you have met at least one person in your life who does not agree with gay lifestyle, who would not harm, suppress, murder, or take away the rights of a gay person. You're allowed to disagree, and you're allowed to you're allowed to call yourself whatever you want. Really, you're allowed to carry a hashtag. If you're a man and you want to be called a woman, well, okay. But your perspective does not trump another person's perspective. Your beliefs does not trump another person's beliefs. And this is where we run into a lot of hairy situations that don't need to be that contrived. If you have gender dysphoria and you're a woman who is taking the medical steps to transform into a anatomical male, I don't know if I put that right. I probably made a lot of people cringe, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to be a little PC about this. But if you are that, then and you want to be called a he or a sir or a man, um, in society, as for myself, I will politely indulge that. But to a person who does not believe in that lifestyle, to force their hand into calling you male is wrong. That is an infringement upon their beliefs, their perspective. Now, even with issues that are not so hot buttoned as that, there's going to be a difference of opinion somewhere. You're going to have people who are staunch assholes too. You're going to have people that are just naturally nasty people inside, and it is what it is. You're also going to have people that, because of their beliefs, cultures, perspectives, customs, that don't subscribe to your ideology. And that could be anything from democracy to putting ketchup on egg noodles. It could be anything. You're always going to have somebody with a different perspective. You have every right as an individual to live your life the way you want to live it and it harm none. But you do not have the right, no one has the right, to refuse another person to have their freedom of thought, speech, or perspective. It is something that everyone's going to have to deal with. Everyone has dealt with at some point in their lives. But people like Lethal Lightning, the reason I say that he is the most Fandom Menace, not Fandom Menace person out there, is because he will not be labeled. He will not be told that he is something that he is not, and he will debate you into the dirt if he believes that you are infringing on his identity, his right. And he did. My response to this was quite simple, and I think it's a good way to eloquently end this conversation. Lethal is not Fandom Menace, though he sure does sound like one of us. He has the right to point to those who do carry the hashtag for a definition of what it means. I wouldn't ask Lethal what it means to be an Aboriginal. And that's what it is. The entire conversation, as I saw it, and as I said, I like Entertainment Hacker. I don't think Entertainment Hacker is a bad person at all. And we all have the right to our opinions. These were some of his opinions. And some of them conflict with me, conflict with how I feel and how I look at the Fandom Menace. Now, I call myself the Fandom Menace historian because I am documenting this culture that has been created, this pushback to toxicity, this hashtag, this movement, whatever you want to call it. And so there are certain things that I have to condense down so that I can present them to general audiences in an understanding. And then allow, hopefully, those general audiences to take the work that I have created and lead them to other creators. other Fandom Menace voices and hear their perspectives, because they may well be different than my own. But that's the beauty of the Fandom Menace, is the right to have an opinion, the right to have your perspective. And if it's a bad perspective or opinion, other people will let you know. But you won't be canceled for it. You won't be shamed for it. You might be debated, and it might get heated, but all of us who have been geeks for long enough know that just comes with the fandoms. There's always been heated arguments and heated debates, always, but you're not going to be canceled. If you have not, please check out Entertainment Hacker's Twitter, at Enter Hacker. He also has a YouTube channel. Go check him out. Give him a follow. Entertainment Hacker is a member of this community, has been for a long time. And please check out Lethal Lightning, member of the Geeks and Gamers team. Also has a YouTube channel of his own. Lethal has recently been having to deal with the abuse of the copyright system by Naughty Dog. So please go show him some support. Can't say enough good things about him. And one last time, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Dmajini's channel. Those of us in the fourth wave community are really trying to help one another get to 1,000 subs. You know, your watch time is on you, but Dmajini has been around for 2 years, and he's been a very important voice in our community. As your Fandom Menace historian, I've noticed and documented two very important truths that come from SJW culture and those that are anti-Fandom Menace. One is, if you are a woman and you dare to think outside the bubble of the SJW groupthink, you are attacked voraciously. You are considered a traitor. Some of the most nasty hate campaigns, comments, emails get sent to the ladies of the Fandom Menace by these people because they dare to speak out. The other is that the black men in our community, are hardly even recognized by SJWs because they completely defy the narrative. They are the shield the SJWs use for virtue as the person of color term, a racist term in and of itself, lumping together so many cultures and so many different peoples from a part of the world into one category to use as a shield, as a weapon, to cudgel the non-believers of the social justice cult. People like Dmajini, people like the president of the Fandom Menace, Abu Nas, people like Fatal J, people like Lord Callus, people like the Gospel According to Mark with a C. These people never really given any attention. The algorithm never really shifts toward them. And this is because they are ignored. So defy the narrative, my friends. These are wonderful fans in our community. People that have been our voices standing up for us for 2 years now. Please subscribe to Dmajini. Let's get him to 1,000 subs. And if you're a creator out there, share his link. Give him a shout out in a video. I would consider it a personal favor. As a matter of fact, give a shout out to the whole Dark Council. Those boys over there are entertaining. They're doing great work. And the last thing that SJWs want is to see a group of black men defying their groupthink racist narrative. Hail Dmajini, hail the Fandom Menace, hail the Dark Council, hail everyone out there. Thank you for watching this video. Wash your hands, wash your ass, be good to one another. Peace.